Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to everybody who came out on this cold day. My name is Ken Claiborne, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of this congregation. Welcome to all of you. The Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart is a welcoming community encouraging religious freedom, nurturing individual spiritual and ethical growth, celebrating diversity, and promoting a just and sustainable world. If you'd like to learn more about this fellowship, please ask anyone who's wearing a name badge with the questions you may have. You can also check out our website at uufe.org. You're all welcome to join us after the service for potluck in the gathering place. We get together and eat a meal and have some fellowship. You're all welcome. For the listening enjoyment of all, we'd like to ask at this time for you to please set your phones to silent or turn them off. Also, if you need hearing support, please ask for that help back at the sound desk in the corner. We have a slew of announcements today. It's like 1 week we have none, and then all of a sudden it's like snow piling up. So we'll get started. Carl wants us to know that there will be a sneak peek screening of his short narrative film, Yule and His Hopes for the Gods, at 2 p.m. Saturday, January 24th, 2026 at UUFE. The film is a year-long project by Carl, and there will be a Q&A session after the viewing and refreshments. Janelle Crump plays Yule's sister Linda in the film. Ought to be interesting. Another announcement. A big thank you to TJ Schaum, John Dozel, Karen Kerr, and Chuck Bauer for taking down and storing the holiday decorations. We are starting a new group for working adults that cannot meet weekdays. The first meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, January 21st at 7 p.m. here at the Fellowship with light refreshments and social activities. Please let Chuck know if you're planning on coming so that he can plan for the refreshments. As announced in yesterday's email, Reverend Dan had a brief stint in the hospital but is feeling much better with new medications. He's scheduled to be back with us starting the week of January 19th. He's coming in tomorrow around noonish, and I think Ray is going to help get him into and Annette, get him into the house. Our friend Gloria Carney, who's living in the Restoracy of Goshen, has been very ill the last 2 weeks. Francisco Avila has been a frequent visitor. Her doctors feel that she had the flu, but then it suddenly got worse. So there's really no word on exactly what it is. She cannot have visitors right now, but a get well card would be appreciated. I've posted the address on the bulletin board beside the kitchen door. The Restoracy of Goshen, 1480 Sandpiper Lane, Goshen, Indiana. So it's posted out there in case you folks would like to send her a card. We had to cancel Science and Society last week because I was ill. We're going to do the session that we had planned to do, the third of 6 parts, on the 27th of January, Tuesday, the 27th at 2 p.m. in the gathering place. I'm a regular member now of the Elkhart County Indivisible, and I attend local meetings. Please check the social justice table in the gathering place for a copy of the January 2026 newsletter from that organization. And contact me if you have any specific questions. Make a note on your calendars for Thursday, January 29th at 3 p.m. at the Owls Club in Elkhart. Owls will be hosting a book signing for Don Wycliffe. In case you missed his signing a few weeks ago here at UUFE, and if you'd like to attend, it's at, I don't know if I said it was at 3 p.m. A subcommittee of the Social Justice Committee met Friday, day before yesterday, to schedule our next community event sponsored by the committee and UUFE. Leading that discussion will be Mike Pirro and Dwight Fish on the topic how government should work, why it isn't, and what we can do about it. Our target schedule is sometime early March for this event to be scheduled. More new information on the social justice table. There's information on the table to respond with action on SB 285 in the Indiana Senate regarding homelessness. This was sent from Martin D'Agostino in Indianapolis, who attended UUFE before 2001. These are small but effective ways we can all make our voices heard. I think that wraps it up. Unless anyone has anything else, thank you.
We don't like the gong. We ring the gong 3 times. Once for those who came before us and made a place for us. Once for those who are here now. And once for those who will come after us to build on the dream. I'll get it right sometime. That was close. Our chalice lighting this morning is by Summer Albayadi. Lighting this chalice may feel difficult today. This symbol of justice, known to be a light of hope for the marginalized, a message of sanctuary for the oppressed, and a flame that feels lost or diminished somehow. How do we rekindle this fire of compassion, and how do we rekindle this fire of mercy? A famous verse within the Quran tells us that with hardship comes ease. With hardship comes ease. We welcome the ease, O God of justice. We welcome the ease, O Spirit of love. We welcome the ease and we rekindle this flame from our tears, our quiet suffering, from our collective prayers for those who cry for freedom. We welcome the ease and rekindle this flame on behalf of those who feel abandoned and betrayed. We welcome the ease and rekindle this flame for all of the children who ask, why can't we not live in peace like other children do? May lighting this chalice today, no matter how difficult it may feel, help us to rekindle compassion and mercy within the deep crevices of our hearts, so that we can, once again, bring justice and hope to the world, struggling to find its humanity, struggling to find its soul. And now if we could do the unison covenant together. It's in your service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. And now we're going to sing 170. Oh, and what? No, we're keeping them here. I made a mistake. Oh, and Steve is, yeah, he's in charge of this, not me.
It's been a while since we've sung this, but turn to 170 in the gray hymnal. Lizzie gives us the introduction as printed, but it's she moves it right along, so you're going to have to spit your words out. So you'll get it. We'll do 3 verses now, have our joys and sorrows, and do the other 3 verses after that. Please rise and sing if you're willing and able. Okay. No, before they sing.
Now is the time in which we share with each other what's on our hearts, joys and sorrows, concerns and gratitudes. If there is something you would like to share with the congregation, please come to the microphone and choose a stone or shell from the basket, drop it in the water, and tell us your name so that we might get to know you better.
Okay, now the kids can head out to RE. And standing, well, you can stay seated. We sat through the first time. Stay there, and we'll sing the last 3 verses of 170, and she comes right in after that, 4 measures of introduction. Verses 4, 5, and 6.
Now we'll have the offering taken, and we will have a something that I don't know. And our offering will be shared today with the Elkhart County Symphony Orchestra. Give what you can. Thank you, Carl. And Terry. Something that I didn't mention before, and I wanted to, and that is that Carl's film clip that we talked about, that Ken mentioned. He has a short clip that he's going to show after the benediction today. So it'll be right after the benediction. And now we have a reading that I'm not going to read, but before they read their reading, I have something to read. A note from our speaker, Reverend Carolyn. This speech was written in 1961, and she said, "I have made small modifications to the text so it conforms to the modern gender-neutral language. For example, if King clearly intended to speak about the universal human condition, I have changed the word men to people. I have done this because I don't want sexist language to be sticking in our ears, lessening our taking in the text as a whole. King also makes biblical references. My mentioning of them does not mean I think you should consider them sacred, even though I personally consider them scripture. Finally, the book containing these excerpts is available through the Elkhart and Goshen Public Library, and it's the title of the book is A Testament of Hope, the Essential Writings and Speeches of Martin Luther King, Jr.
I should clarify, it'll be available when I return it tomorrow. Right now.
So just hold on, everybody. Don't get in a hurry to get it. And now we will have our speakers do their reading.
I think I've got it. It looks like it's in front of my...
Just been asked to introduce ourselves.
Oh, I'm Lori Tweedale. Hello.
I'm Mike Puro. I'm related to this lady.
Through marriage, not blood. Sounds like I married my cousin or something. Okay, are we ready? This reading is excerpted from The American Dream, a commencement address given by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania on June 6, 1961. The practical aspect of nonviolent resistance is that it exposes the moral defenses of the opponent. Not only that, it somehow arouses their conscience at the same time, and it breaks down their morale. She has no answer for it. If he puts you in jail, that's all right. If they let you out, that's all right too. If she beats you, you accept that. If he doesn't beat you, fine. And so you go on, leaving them with no answer. But if you use violence, he does have an answer. She has the state militia. They have police brutality. By following this method, we may also be able to teach our world something that it so desperately needs at this hour. In a day when Sputniks and explorers are dashing through outer space, and guided ballistic missiles are carving highways of death through the stratosphere, no nation can win a war. The choice is no longer between violence and nonviolence. It is either nonviolence or non-existence. I call upon you not to be detached spectators, but involved participants in this great drama that is taking place in our nation and around the world. Every academic discipline has its technical nomenclature, and modern psychology has a word that is used probably more than any other. It is the word maladjusted. Certainly, all of us want to live a well-adjusted life. But I say to you, there are certain things within our social order to which I am proud to be maladjusted, and to which I call upon all people of goodwill to be maladjusted.
If you will allow the preacher and me to come out now, let me say to you that I never did intend to adjust to the evils of segregation and discrimination. I never did intend to adjust myself to religious bigotry. I never did intend to adjust myself to economic conditions that will take necessities from many to give luxuries to the few. I never did intend to adjust myself to the madness of militarism and the self-defeating effects of physical violence. And I call upon all people of goodwill to be maladjusted, because it may well be that the salvation of our world lies in the hands of the maladjusted. So let us be maladjusted as the prophet Amos, who in the midst of the injustices of his day would cry out in words that echo across the centuries, "Let justice run like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream." Let us be maladjusted as Abraham Lincoln, who had the vision to see that this nation could not exist half free and half slave. Let us be maladjusted as Jesus of Nazareth, who could look into the eyes of men and women of this generation, of his generation, and cry out, "Love your enemies, bless them that curse you, pray for them that despitefully use you." I believe that it is through such maladjustment that we will be able to emerge from the bleak and desolate midnight of our inhumanity to each other, and into the bright and glittering daybreak of freedom and justice.
Thank you, Lori and Mike. And now we have a speaker who has more readings. Carolyn Gardner Hunt and her husband Anthony Hunt are longtime friends of UUFE, and probably most of us know them. They've lived in Elkhart for nearly 20 years. They've raised 4 sons here and recently celebrated their 30th wedding anniversary. They gained a daughter over New Year's when their oldest son got married. Carolyn is a license for ministry in the Indiana-Michigan Conference of Mennonite Church, USA, and she and her family are members of Prairie Street Mennonite Church on Elkhart's south side. Welcome, Carolyn.
Someone got it down to the short person level. This is awesome. Thank you, Lori. We're soul sisters.
Short and getting shorter every year.
Likewise, yeah. Good morning. The choice is no longer between violence and nonviolence. It is either nonviolence or non-existence. It may well be that the salvation of our world lies in the hands of the maladjusted. When I sent this topic to Pam Wycliffe in December, I had no idea that there would be even more circumstances in our country to which we could be maladjusted come January. And the difficulty I had in preparing to speak to you this weekend was keeping this list to only 3 topics. The first situation was brought to my attention in last weekend's Elkhart Truth. No food aid for school kids again this summer, reads the headline. The state of Indiana has again opted out of the federally funded Sunbucks program. Sunbucks can provide 3 months of extra food aid, about $40 per child per month in summertime, to families who already receive SNAP benefits. And the rationale is that those receiving SNAP usually are also getting free or reduced price school lunch. And when school is not in session, kids don't receive those meals, and their parents' income doesn't magically go up in the summer to buy more groceries. Excuse me. Last year, the Family and Social Services Administration blamed previous Governor Eric Holcomb's administration for not doing the prep work necessary to feed Indiana kids in 2025. This year, Mitch Rube, the secretary of the FSSA, says we can't do it because the administrative costs are too high. Even though the admin costs are split 50-50 with the federal government, and the food aid, 100% of that comes from the federal government. Rube acknowledges that over 600,000 Indiana children participated in Sunbucks in 2023, the last year it was offered here. And over 600,000 children would qualify for the food aid again this year. Sunbucks grew out of the temporary pandemic EBT program, which was very successful in decreasing the prevalence of child hunger during the pandemic. When I read this rot, I thought, doesn't Indiana have a budget surplus this year? And don't we have a pretty hefty amount in fiscal reserves, more than a couple $2 billion? Yes, and yes. Indiana was able to end fiscal year 2025 with a balanced budget and $2.5 billion in surplus, according to figures from the state budget agency. And just 4 weeks ago, new tax revenue projections released by the state budget director estimate that instead of the state's cash reserves totaling $2.7 billion by the middle of 2027, they will approach $5 billion by that date. I did the math. Taking FSSA spokesman Marcus Barlow at his word, which is a leap of faith, I admit, the cost to administer Sunbucks this year could be as much as $15 million. Well, I divided that by our $2.5 billion in current cash reserves, and it came out to 0.6% of our cash reserves. Are you seriously freaking telling me that this amount is not worth investing in the health of our children? The children who are growing into our workforce, our future doctors and nurses and teachers and caregivers. Let us be maladjusted in this case. Roman numeral 2. Let us be maladjusted to cruelty perpetrated by our own government against federal employees and recipients of federal grants. While the nonsense that was DOGE seems to have petered out, the out-of-nowhere reductions in force and ending of grants are still happening, and this is by design. Russell Vought, director of the Office of Management and Budget in Trump's second term, spent the Biden presidency making very specific plans to undermine and dismantle the way our government agencies work. The nonprofit newsroom ProPublica has profiled this self-avowed Christian nationalist. In a speech to a private organization in 2023, Vought stated his goal. We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected, he said. He wished to destroy civil servants' morale, to shift the ground underneath their feet so nothing seems stable. When they wake up in the morning, Vought said, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. His aim wasn't just to reduce the size of agencies or make them more efficient. The cruelty was the point. To this, all people of goodwill should be maladjusted. This administration's preference for cruelty and trauma continues. On Tuesday this week, the Department of Health and Human Services implemented a late-night rollback of $2 billion in mental health and substance use funding. The cancellation of Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration funding blindsided grantees and sent shockwaves through organizations that provide anti-drug and mental health services. I did not find out about this on the evening news. I found out about it on Facebook and a post from a friend of mine in Minnesota. She wrote, last night after 9 p.m., project directors on every single federal treatment grant, mental health and substance abuse that I work on, were informed the grants were terminated as they are no longer in line with federal priorities. This morning we have precious little info, she said on Wednesday. Just like that, thousands of clients are being cut from treatment, including medication-assisted treatment for opioid addiction, and thousands of staff just lost their jobs. 24 hours later, after the nonprofit my friend works for had laid off staff and canceled clients, the agency received another notice from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, or SAMHSA. This correspondence serves as official notice that the termination of your federal award previously communicated on January 13th, 2026 is hereby rescinded. Please disregard the prior termination notice and continue program activities as outlined in your award agreement. My friend shared that even though the award money has been restored, not all the employees are coming back. Some people originally felt personal responsibility, like they must have done something wrong. They made an error in their grant report or in an application, or they used language in those reports that is no longer permitted because there is a list of words that they are not allowed to use now. Staff are hurt and clients are angry. This is no way for the Department of Health and Human Services to treat the people interacting one-on-one with the least of these. Let us be maladjusted to cruelty as public policy. Finally, the unethical and unlawful behavior of ICE agents and Department of Homeland Security employees in Minnesota. By now, most of you have probably seen video of Renee Good's encounter with ICE agent Jonathan Ross. A survey done this week found over 80% of respondents have watched at least one of the available videos. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on Wednesday asked residents of his state to keep watching, witnessing, and recording interactions ICE has with their friends and neighbors. He described agents as pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers, breaking windows, just plain grabbing Minnesotans and shoving them into unmarked vans. Governor Walz asked Minnesotans to help establish a record of exactly what's happening in our communities. Take out that phone and hit record. Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans, not just to establish a record for posterity, but to bank evidence for future prosecution. Many videos made by observers illustrate unlawful and abhorrent behavior by ICE and DHS employees. For example, ICE is not a general law enforcement agency. They can't just pull over cars and start asking questions. Agents must have reasonable suspicion of an immigration violation or an official warrant, and that's in their own policies. Yet we see evidence of people being detained and pulled out of cars with no warning. ICE has no authority over U.S. citizens, yet citizens are being detained and ordered to provide proof of citizenship, sometimes just for being near an ICE apprehension and watching it happen. A person suspected of crime and arrested by local law enforcement is read the Miranda warning, including their right to an attorney. But people detained by ICE frequently have neither access to an attorney nor a way to contact their families while incarcerated. DHS policy is clear. Agents may not use guns to intimidate. They are allowed to draw their weapons only in the case of imminent harm. Tell that to the widow and children of Renee Good. Alarmingly, the nonviolent resistance that Martin Luther King Jr. preached and legal observers are practicing is not protecting Minnesotans. I never did intend to adjust myself to the madness of militarism and the self-defeating effects of physical violence. And I call upon all people of goodwill to be maladjusted, because it may well be that the salvation of our world lies in the hands of the maladjusted. It is difficult not to feel overwhelmed when an undertrained, overarmed force is wreaking havoc in neighborhoods just like ours. Even though we may not have seen ICE presence to the degree that people in Chicago, Los Angeles, or Minneapolis have, our neighbors in Elkhart are being affected. A member of my congregation, Prairie Street Mennonite, was stopped for a minor traffic violation several months ago in Elkhart. Local law enforcement turned her over to ICE in short order once her legal status was revealed. She was in immigration detention in Indianapolis for several weeks, then transferred to a detention center several states away. And we couldn't even send her letters because their rules are so strict on the kind of contact those detained can receive from the outside world. Another example, here in Elkhart, Church Community Services heard this fall that some of the families they regularly serve at the food pantry no longer felt safe coming to wait in line at CCS. The pantry networked with local churches to provide alternate sites for food distribution once a month. These sites are not advertised except by very quiet word of mouth, handing out of flyers from trusted people to people they know that have a ticket that entitles you to receive the food box. It's not the same experience. Customers no longer get to choose their own food, and they no longer receive the generous hospitality of church community services. But it's something. When people are scared to leave their homes and they would rather their children go hungry, conditions are dire in our community. Even people of strong heart and goodwill might understandably be floundering. And that's what Russell Vaught wants. Vaught, Stephen Miller, and all their minions are doing their best to flood the zone. This tactic involves overwhelming the media and political opponents by creating an overload of information and controversy such that both the opposition and the general public loses focus and concentration. The result is exhaustion, fatigue, and inadequate or non-existent political responses. That sounds familiar. The architects of cruelty now in power in our state and our country want us to feel like we can't do anything to change the circumstances around us, but that's a lie. We are not powerless. We're not even in the minority. A poll released this week by The Economist and YouGov found that by a margin of 20 percentage points, more view the shooting of Renee Good as not justified than justified. So 50% of those surveyed said that shooting was not justified. Only 30% thought it was. Polling by Quinnipiac University, released January 13th, found 57% of voters disapprove of how ICE is enforcing immigration laws, while just 40% approve. If you feel maladjusted to the way ICE and Department of Homeland Security are carrying out their work, you have a lot of company. And there are small, concrete actions each person in this room can take that decrease the suffering of others. We have not a moment to lose. I want to read to you a paragraph from the letter from Birmingham City Jail. This was written by Dr. Martin Luther King on April 16th, 1963, and it was an open letter addressed to Christian ministers who had called for patience and waiting instead of nonviolent resistance. I had hoped that the white moderate would reject the myth of time. I received a letter this morning from a white brother in Texas which said, "Black people will receive equal rights eventually, but it is possible that you are in too great of a hurry. It has taken Christianity almost 2,000 years to accomplish what it has. Teachings take time to come to earth." All that is said here grows out of a tragic misconception of time. It is the strangely irrational notion that there is something in the very flow of time that will inevitably cure all ills. Actually, time is neutral. It can be used either destructively or constructively. "I am coming to feel," said Dr. King, "that the people of ill will have used time much more effectively than the people of goodwill. We will have to repent in this generation, not merely for the vitriolic words and actions of the bad people, but for the appalling silence of the good people." This is not the time to throw up our hands or dive under the covers. Want to feed children in Elkhart? Call Church Community Services and ask what produce is in most demand in the summer. Plant some of that vegetable in your garden and donate it to CCS when you harvest. Hell, you can put $1 in an envelope and mail it to CCS, and they will feed someone with it. Are you sick and damn tired of those in the federal government who play mind games for sport? Write your congressman, seriously. We can't all be as eloquent as Steve Kripe is in his letters to the editor, and we don't have to be. You can send a postcard. "My name is, I'm one of her constituents, and you work for me." I disagree with this recent action, whatever it is. I urge you to reconsider your position. Sincerely yours, etc. We know that feedback from constituents makes a difference because that's what brought about the restoration of $2 billion in grants from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration this week. Loud outcry nationwide from people who cared. The results may not always come so quickly, but crying out when you see injustice is always the right thing to do. What in heaven's name can we do for Minnesotans who are suffering during this occupation of their communities by ICE? Mutual aid. Now, this is a concept very familiar to Mennonites. It's something we use all the time. It's basically people of goodwill pooling their money to help someone in need. And I know that you do that in your congregation here. Well, a friend of mine in Elkhart has family in Minneapolis who live 3 blocks from where Renee Good was killed. And in that area, my friend's relative says neighbors, quote, have been organizing and preparing for months, and they are doing some really amazing things. Their neighborhood group created a Venmo account for donations, which they will use to help the people in their area who are afraid to leave their homes and whose family members have already been abducted, resulting in loss of income. This is mutual aid, and it was a common strategy in the civil rights era. During the Montgomery bus boycott 70 years ago, people organized to share vehicles, give rides, and help boycott participants keep working, keep going to school. We can't all go to Minnesota and guard the children who are walking, help them stay safe on the way to school. But anybody with a Venmo account can send money to the Central Area Neighborhood Development Fund. $5 or $10? Sure. More than that if you're able? Absolutely. I have information on how to give to this neighborhood group in Minneapolis, and it is out on the, what do they call it, the Ivy Island. There are little cards on the Ivy Island. And it feels great to give immediately to that, but then we also need to think about what will we do in Elkhart when the need arises. Faith leaders and other people of goodwill in Elkhart County are already talking together about what we could do. Let us not exhibit what Dr. King termed the appalling silence of the good people. King called upon us in 1961 not to be detached spectators, but involved participants in this great drama that is taking place in our nation and around the world. Last summer, a Chicago citizen photojournalist pointed me to a song by Carrie Newcomer. The title is 3 Feet or So. One lyric reads, I can't change the whole world, but I can change the world I know, what's within 3 feet or so. Teetering on the edge of despair, afraid to watch the news anymore, this journalist took comfort in the knowledge that what was within the reach of her own arms, she could affect. And I commend this mindset to you. Let us be maladjusted indeed, but not dormant, not silent. I pray you will act justly, love mercy, and speak truth within the reach of your own arms. That in our lifetimes we may emerge from the bleak and desolate midnight into the bright and glittering daybreak of freedom and justice. Amen.
You're going to have to turn to 12023 and the teal hymnals. There won't be a graphic this morning with the lyrics on it, I don't believe, I don't think so. We're going to sing this a cappella. We want to sing it 3 times, once to learn it, and the other 2 verses you can enjoy the lyrics. Okay, stand if you're willing and able and sing with me and jump in as soon as you can. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our voices, friends, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you and you reach out to me. With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you and you reach out to me. With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. We got it on the third verse.
Okay, it's time now. We don't have time for questions, but we do have time to extinguish our chalice, and we will have a postlude, and we will have a benediction, and then we can have, as you wish, to stay for Carl's clip of his film. So if we could all join together with the extinguishing of the chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Two, 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody talking about bagging, tagging, bagging, tagging, bagging and tagging. This is a battle, it's a bit of all we are saying is give peace a chance. That's all we're saying. All we are saying is give peace a chance. Yeah. Come on. Everybody talking about ministers, ministers, Baptists, and Catholics, bishops and bishops, rabbis and rabbis, rabbis. All we are saying is give peace a chance. What do we say? Give peace a chance. All we are saying is give peace a chance. Give it a chance, baby. Give it a try. Right. Everybody now.
Carl wanted to know why I wanted to cut the music off there, and it's because some of the words we would be singing out loud in the next verses, I wasn't sure that we all want to sing out loud together. So, but you can listen to it at home. So I invite you to bow your heads for this benediction. Love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Pray for them that use you. May we emerge from the bleak and desolate midnight of our humanity to one another into the bright and glittering daybreak of freedom and justice. Amen.